Senator Leila De Lima being granted bail after more than 6 years. May we have Justice Remulla's reaction to this, please?
Yeah, he actually had a press conference earlier today where he said that it's proof that the justice system is working, that the democracy is vibrant and alive. We see that there are obviously two sides to the coin. Some people are happy, some people are not. But us in the department, we came into the department already with the case there. So as to how the evidence was collected, as to why the case was filed, that's really not any of our worries. The only thing that we wanted to do when coming in was to give the prosecutors, the panel of prosecutors, that prosecutorial independence that they deserve, because they were the ones that came up with the case, they did the case build up, they gathered the evidence, and they should be the ones to prosecute it. So the secretary just gave them that respect to continue the case, but we are indifferent to the way it turned out. Obviously, we want to encourage our prosecutors to do what they believe is best. So that's pretty much the statement he had this afternoon.
Can you confirm that DOJ Under Secretary Remulla was hands-off with this case?
Yes, definitely. Obviously, they would brief him, but at the end of every meeting, he would just say, just do what you think is best.
Okay, it did take 7 years though. So in terms of the reforms that you're talking about, can we perhaps in the future see cases being resolved a lot faster than that? I mean, considering how high profile and politically charged this case was.
Well, in the case, especially of Senator De Lima, as I reviewed some of the records coming into the administration, there were a lot of delaying tactics on both sides, actually. On the prosecutorial side, they did ask for some resets because of the lack of evidence or the unavailability of the witnesses. But the same can be said of the side of De Lima. There were multiple times where she asked for the rescheduling of the hearing. Well, mostly during the pandemic when she was unavailable. So, there were delays on both sides. And I think that's really the way cases work. If both sides aren't amenable to moving fast with the case, you'll really see that the case can be prolonged. But there are also a lot of cases you'll see where if the issues are very straightforward, the evidence, the prosecutors are very fast in presenting the evidence, you'll see that maybe in 2-3 years, the case is done. With all the motions for reconsideration and all the remedies being exhausted, it could be done very fast. It's just that in this case, there were quite a lot of delaying tactics on both sides.
Well, there's a perception that there's been a change in the way that this administration has been handling the case. Do you think that's true? Has there been a shift in the way you treated this case compared to the past administration, of course?
Well, like we said, the case was already there when we came in. So we did not help in preparing the evidence, the theory of the case, the issues to be threshed out in court. So whether there was a change in attitude or a change of tone, I'd say the change of administration is that change. There's really, I always tell people, it's not about the politics in our heads, because obviously we have no idea why that case was there, the evidence, how it was gathered. There's a whole thought process that goes into it, and we weren't there for that.
Human Rights Watch have been saying is that the Duterte administration concocted evidence, right? I'm not going to ask you to comment on what they supposedly did. That won't be fair. But what I'm going to ask you is, how is the Marcos administration under Justice Remulla going to ensure that it doesn't happen, that cases like this don't happen, right?
Well, we have what is called the case build-up rule, which I mentioned briefly a while ago. And this is a mechanism by which the law enforcement agencies, as well as our prosecutors who have the legal knowledge, it's a mechanism where they work together. So from the very get-go, at the scene of the crime, the prosecutors will already be there, which is a very far cry from what it was before, where prosecutors would sit in their rooms and wait for the evidence to come, brought by law enforcement agencies who may or may not have legal background. So most of the time, or a lot of the times, weak cases are filed because at the scene of the crime, or where the crime happens, the evidence chosen or the witness taken are not actually necessary, relevant, or strong. So to have the prosecutor there at the very start is very important for our legal system because they're the ones that have stake in the conviction
Yeah.
later on in the case.